Hi guys, hope you're all well, and I want to talk a little bit about fitness in middle age. So I've done quite a few videos on this subject, and some of them were quite a long time ago now, so there's a whole series if you guys want to go back, and I go through all the training that I do, all the diet, everything on there. You can become a subscriber for like £2 a month and you'll get really good information on the diet. You can download the diet sheets and the training information, all that kind of thing. But I've had a few people talk to me, some of them in person, and said, hey, I've seen the videos, they know me through work or whatever. And they've said, realistically, what can I achieve as a middle-aged guy? And they sort of hint at the fact that I've got some sort of benefit because I used to be a power lifter and I used to do this in a more serious manner. And they reference like muscle memory or the fact that, I've got some extra abilities, that I had this sort of muscle that was all hiding away and has suddenly come back out again. So I just want to clear that up, is how fit can you actually get? What's a realistic goal? Because a lot of people were saying to me, oh, I would like to get fit and I'd like to get in really good shape, but hey, I'm 45 or I'm 50. It's never going to happen for me. It's ridiculous. I can't do what you've done because you've got all these, you've got all this sort of secret knowledge, and I'm just going to waste my time, so I just won't bother. So first of all, I definitely think there's an element of psychology going on there, that our brain is very cleverly working against us all the time. I've made videos on this before, and when it comes to anything that requires energy outlay from us and effort and grind, the brain quickly concocts like reasons why we shouldn't do that. And I think that's a really go-to reason that people have, is like, hey, I'm old, I'm not going to bother because I'm never going to get anywhere. It's a waste of my time. And that's a really, really good excuse for people to come up with, so they actually don't have to do anything at all. And I get that because I've made excuses like that myself. After I got injured, that was my go-to excuse. I was like, well, I'm injured. I'm in my, early 40s. What's the point in exercising anymore anyway? It's all downhill from here. I'm going to look rubbish whatever I do, so I might as well just enjoy life, drink wine, have a beer, eat pizza and all that kind of stuff. So let's be frank. Most of it is an excuse, and people may not even realise they're using it as an excuse because it's kind of a subconscious one. So what is the truth? What is the reality? The reality is you can get in absolutely fantastic shape as a middle-aged man, and I'm talking specifically about men here because I'm not female, obviously. I don't have any first-hand experience of how it is for a middle-aged female to get in shape. We've obviously got different hormonal outputs and all kinds of different biological things going on, so I'm not going to randomly say, yeah, all females can get into great shape in middle age. They may well be able to, but I frankly do not know, and I can't guarantee that because I haven't done it. But what I do know from myself and from a lot of other guys that I've trained with is, yes, as a male in middle-aged, if you're, 40 to 55, whatever, even more years old, you can go from out of shape and unfit to in great shape and pretty damn fit, and it takes effort. That's the main criteria. So can you have abs? Yes, you absolutely can. Is that some sort of genetic gift or whatever? No, anyone can get abs. It just relies on the amount of effort you're prepared to make with your diet, your training, and the consistency of those two things over a long period of time. That's why most people don't get abs, because it's that long period of time and consistency that people struggle with. Everyone can do things for a few weeks and then they go, oh man, I've done enough now, I'm never going to get abs, and then they sort of revert back to maybe training once or twice a week, eating a bit of rubbish every now and then, and of course now they're never going to get abs because they've given up the consistency and the length of time that's required. So you can definitely get abs. Can you put on more strength and muscle? Yes, you absolutely can. Of course, your testosterone isn't going to be like it was when you were 18 to 20 years old. It does decline over time as you get older, but actually, if you want to make the most of your testosterone output in older age, one of the best things you can do is get down the gym and lift some weights and do a bit of cardio, Not overtraining, because that's going to have the opposite effect, and that's going to make your testosterone go lower because you're overdoing things. But if you're getting in the gym and doing a hard hour in the gym, and you're doing some, cardio that's not excessive, you're not running marathons, etc., then your testosterone levels are very likely going to go up. If you give up alcohol, your testosterone levels are going to go up. If you eat a healthy diet, which has got, a good amount of protein in it, a good amount of healthy fats in it, a good amount of decent complex carbohydrates in it, and it's all home cooked, decent food with quality ingredients, your testosterone levels are going to go up. So those are all basic facets that we can stick to that are going to regulate our hormonal output to be the best it can possibly be for our age group. So if you're feeling like you're 50 years old and your test levels are through the floor, they may very well be through the floor, but that probably isn't just because you're 50 years old. That's probably because you're not training. You're completely sedentary. You're eating a load of junk. You're drinking too much alcohol. The list goes on. If you're out of shape and you're not feeling great about your body, you're probably not having a very good sex life. If that's the case, that's another reason that your testosterone levels are going to be declining. So all those things go hand in hand, and you can actually do something about that and get your test levels back up. If you're able to do that, you will find that your drive to go to the gym is increased, because like you were when you were a younger man, if you can remember that, you were probably pretty keen to get in the gym. You were probably pretty keen to look in good shape because you wanted to go out on a weekend and meet some ladies or whatever. That was all to do with having a higher level of testosterone. That gives you that kind of drive and that little aggressive sort of thing in the background that's motivating you to go down the gym, or it's motivating you to get some good work done when you're working in the week. That will come back, and that's one of the big surprises I had, that I had become, very sedentary and quite subdued and quite sort of relaxed in middle age. And when I started hammering the training again, which was a real grind at first, I was at rock bottom about myself and the way I looked. And I really had to force myself to go to the gym. But actually within a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, I guess, probably, I saw the sort of real benefit. I really got that drive back again. I really wanted to get to the gym. I wanted to go down there and lift some heavy weights. I started feeling more competitive again. I was wanting to lift more than I'd done the time before. I was looking at what other guys were doing in the gym and thinking, I can probably outlift that guy. I'm going to make an effort to be able to do that. That was all to do with my hormonal function changing. Once you sort of get to that point, everything gets a lot easier. And I think that's the grind that most people sort of can't get through. If you can really stick with those first couple of months, things do get better from then on. And you'll find as your test levels get higher, you will start burning more body fat. You will start developing more muscle tissue. And it's not going to be like huge. We're not talking about like Arnold Schwarzenegger and anabolics or anything like that. We're talking about natural levels going a little bit higher, but you will notice the difference. I certainly did. A lot of my friends that have done this have noticed the difference as well. They've gone from being kind of fairly depressed feeling, sedentary, not wanting to do much, to having a massively increased output in terms of their working week. They're keen to get into work and get some stuff done. They're keen to get projects sorted and do them as well as they possibly can. And they're keen to get in the gym in the evenings and smash it in the gym and do really well, and then go and have a look and see how they're looking in the mirror. They're actually caring about their personal appearance. So all that can be had by anyone who's prepared to put in that grind. And if you can then manage that for like a year, then you're in a position that you'll probably have abs. You're probably going to look fairly muscular. You're probably going to be reasonably vascular. So all the things that people dream that they could never, ever achieve as a middle-aged man, I promise you, you can absolutely achieve. It really boils down to whether you want to or not, how much you want it. And I have heard people say, listen, I love drinking. I like to have a cigar. I like to relax and eat, apple pie and whatever. That to me is more important than it is to look good and be fit. And that's fine. If that's your honest answer and that is what ticks your boxes, then I can't argue with that. that's fine. But you're never going to be able to have both. You're going to have to make the decision one way or the other. In terms of fitness, we're talking about aesthetics and how you look, etc. Does your fitness really get better? Yes, it does. I've gone from probably not even being able to run maybe 50 meters down the road without absolutely being out of breath and looking like a complete mess, and probably in sort of heart attack territory at that point. And I kind of laugh about that, but there's a serious side to that as well, that if you are that unfit and, you have to go for a game of squash at work, or you have to do some running to catch a bus or something, that's the kind of time that middle-aged men are falling over and having a heart attack. So that's a serious piece of business. At least if you try and get fit, you can do that in a nice sort of curve over time, so you're not suddenly throwing yourself into some sort of mad dash, and you're actually going to strengthen your heart, you're going to increase your overall fitness. VO2 max, for example, is the primary measure in terms of all fitness measurements you could take on your longevity. People that can increase their VO2 max, that is also pretty much intrinsically linked to longevity. Obviously, there are other factors there. People will get diseases and have accidents and all kinds of other factors. If you're looking at the epidemiology of it, of a general population, and you look at people that are increasing their VO2 max as part of a larger group, their longevity is going to increase as well, and it's substantial. So it's definitely worth doing. It greatly, greatly decreases your risk of cardiac issues. So 100% worth doing that just for that alone, guys. So for those that say, eating all that rubbish and sitting around is kind of more fun than getting fit, you're also saying, and I also don't mind being at massively increased risk of dying young from a heart attack or diabetes or one or the other, many things that ends up killing us if we don't do anything about our health and fitness. So this can all be achieved, and that's what I want people to go away from this video realizing, that there is no obstacle other than yourself, unless you've got obviously a disability. But even with disabilities, I used to train with a guy, he was an ex-Marine. He had one leg, one of his legs was missing above the knee. So he had a false leg, and I didn't even know that for about 3 months. And I was squatting with the guy in a squat rack. He's like squatting 150 kilos. He's moaning at me because I wasn't squatting, heavy enough weights. I was lifting a bit more than him at the time. I was a bit younger, and I didn't realise, and it wasn't until we actually got changed and this guy changed his jogging bottoms, and I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, your leg is false. And he was like, yeah, I had a really serious accident and I lost my leg. And I was like, wow, and you're squatting in a gym? And he was like, well, why wouldn't I be? And he absolutely couldn't understand why people would let that sort of thing hold them back. I'm not personally disabled, so I'm not going to criticise anyone who is held back by their disability or doesn't keep fit because of it. That's a personal issue to them, and it's something I don't know anything about. But what I do know is if you want to get fit, you can, because that guy had one leg and he was managing it. There are people that compete in the Paralympics with all kinds of terrible disabilities, and they've overcome that. So anyone can train in some way or another. You might have to change your training slightly, you might have to adjust it if you've got a specific disability that doesn't allow you to do the exact same routine as an able-bodied person, but nonetheless you can still get fit and get in great shape, and none of that is a definitive obstacle preventing you from doing so. If you haven't got a disability and you still think that being age is an obstacle, there was a guy with one leg squatting 150 kilos, age 55. So go and sleep on that, and then give yourself a bit of a slap and get yourself down the gym and do some training. Guys, I hope that's given you a little bit of food for thought. All I want you to go away with this is knowing that you can get as fit as you possibly like. And if you don't get fit, that's because you made a decision not to get fit. If you don't look in good shape, that's because you made a decision not to get in good shape. No other reason. It's not genetics. It's not, you're unlucky or life was mean to you. It's because you haven't bothered to do it. And if you take that responsibility and you're cool with it and you're not moaning about it, that's fine. I got no issue with that. But, if you're complaining about everything else going on and that, you haven't been able to get fit because of X, Y, and Z, I'm sorry, don't ever moan at me about it, because I won't give you a very soft and sensitive answer to that. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you all something to think about. Been great talking to you. Take care. See you next time.